Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Linda Dick. I'm one of the many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, our viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at NACTV at wcgwave.ca. And today we're reading the Banner and Press of Friday, December 23rd, 2022. And front page includes a figure skating Christmas in Neepawa. Here's the skaters all on the front page. The Neepawa Figure Skating Club put on the 2022 edition of its annual Christmas Ice Show on December 18th. There was a total of 19 performances, all put on by individuals and groups of people associated with the club. Now you can see above, members of the star skate groups skate in line with each other. In the top right, we have senior can skate members gliding across the ice, preparing to reunite with the rest of the group. Over here, we have the senior star skaters singing a karaoke version of Jingle Bell Rock after the group's music stalled and cut out as a result of a skating error in which the prop stereo was hit. The skit was complete with prop microphones. Figure skaters entertain the crowd at the annual show. And more pictures here. Top left, while skating backwards, we have Annika Shepard. She performs a low skate hold. Top middle, we have Kristen Stevenson and Carly Strelzik synchronizing their skating. They're gliding backwards and preparing for their next trick, which would be a dual spin. In top right, we have Olivia Casilni. She added some extra pep to her performance that night by including some gestures, matching the mood of her music for an added flourish. And here, bottom right, we have members of the Star Skate Group paired up in sets of 3 as they make their way down the ice while skating shoulder to shoulder during the first performance of the evening. Both junior and senior star skaters put on the group effort. These skaters were Jaden Defoe, Ivory Jering, Olivia Casilni, Alyssa Nadeau, Ashley Nadeau, Claire Nicholson, Bailey Prodruski, Sophie Saquette, Annette Schemer, Claire Schemer, Cordelia Smith, Dimitri Smith, Crystal Stevenson, Carly Strelzik, McKenna Sumner, Amber Wahosky, Ava Wahosky, and Sydney Wolf. Well done. And we have another job well done by the Neepawa Men's Shed. And here they're pictured here. The Neepawa Men's Shed successfully delivered their latest project on December 6th. The community group had made 3 picnic tables for the Neepawa Middle School, which will be set up in the playground. The kids are really going to enjoy them, said Valerie Perieski, the Neepawa Middle School principal, and parents will be able to enjoy them while they watch their kids playing too. The tables were donated, with the middle school providing funds for the cost of the materials. Pictured, the middle school students, along with Principal Valerie Perieski and members of the Neepawa Men's Shed, they pose with a pair of the newly made picnic tables. Another project well done. And I'll just add, while I'm on the same page, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Taylor Law Patterson, LLP. 'Tis the season, and our thoughts turn gratefully to those who have supported us for the year 2022. In this spirit, we say simply but sincerely, thank you. A fantastic display of horsepower. Minnedosa Suffolk breeder reports on the annual NASHA gathering. Here they're pictured with their horses. These photos depict just a couple of the events that Krista McKee of Minnedosa watched at the annual NASHA gathering and AGM held in the United States in October. Jennifer Knighty performs a long pull demo with Diamond Jim of Indian Mound and Indian Mound Red Moon. And on the right picture, Long Swamp Lily and Long Swamp Willow, with the guidance of driver Leah Haney, put on a precision pull demo. This article is submitted by Casper Wareham. The North American Suffolk Horse Association, better known as NASHA, held its annual gathering and annual general meeting on October 7th and 8th. The Suffolk gathering was held down in the States at the Ashtabula County Fairgrounds in Jefferson, Ohio. Breeders, owners, and enthusiasts from all across Canada and the United States gathered there to watch and participate in demonstrations put on by the teams from the area. Minnedosa's own Krista McKee was among that number and provided the banner and press with a report and her own perspective this month. It was a fantastic display of horsepower, with 29 registered Suffolk horses in attendance at the event, said McKee. It was a time of great fellowship, with the rekindling of old friendships and the making of new acquaintances. For those who may not know, NASHA is the breed registry for purebred Suffolk horses. Its main purpose is to keep a record of the breed's bloodlines and to register new horses as they are born. The association also works to educate people about draft horses and promote the Suffolk breed specifically. Suffolks have remained relatively unchanged in size and type over several hundred years. They were developed in England for agriculture and have remained true to that original purpose as the farmer's horse, McKee explained. They have a kind temperament and a willingness to work, which makes them the ideal horse for people who want to use them for agriculture, forestry, or simply for the enjoyment of having a team for recreation. They aren't overly tall, standing at about 16 hands, 64 inches at the withers, which makes them easier to harness. But they give up nothing when it comes to body weight and strength. We use our Suffolk horses for hauling loads of square bales to feed cattle and find them easy to work with, eager to please, and quick to learn. During NASHA's annual gathering and meeting, the winner for its main fundraiser for the year, a draw for a registered Suffolk foal, was announced. The winner was Jennifer Knighty of Alliance, Ohio. Knighty had a total of 8 registered foals up for offer by breeders within the association, with her prize pick being filly Pondside Candy. Pondside Candy was bred by Ed Livingston and Louise Bergen of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. NASHA also welcomed new directors and elected its executive for the upcoming year. Ken Lang of St. Thomas, Ontario, was elected president of the board, and McKee herself was elected vice president. Plans for both the 2023 and 2024 gathering and AGM are already in the works. We look forward to seeing everyone again next year when the gathering moves to North Carolina. Something for Canadians to keep in mind is that plans are in the works for the gathering to move to Saskatchewan in 2024, said McKee. For those that have registered Suffolk teams and would like to be involved, or for anyone that would like to see some Suffolk horses in action, this will be your chance. McKee has been involved with NASHA for about 7 years, starting in 2016 when the McKees purchased their first registered Suffolk horse. Since then, she's attended 3 states-hosted gatherings, including the 2022 event in Ohio. The first was in Cornish, New Hampshire in 2017, and the second in St. Louis, Missouri in 2019. At first, my involvement was simply to register the foals that we were raising, McKee confided. But then I became more interested in what was happening with the association. I met some really great people, and they encouraged me to become more involved. I then ran for the board of directors in 2020. McKee is owner and operator of Clearview Stock Farm, which is located southwest of Neepawa. McKee runs the operation alongside her husband Don and children Daisy, Lauren, and Justin. Since the family purchased their first Suffolk horse, they became the largest producer of the breed in North America in just a few short years. Our foals can now be found in all of Western Canada provinces, as far east as Quebec and in the state of Colorado, said McKee. According to McKee, Suffolks are one of the best kept secrets. Originally imported to Canada in 1865, they never gained much popularity. On top of that, the war and subsequent mechanization had a tremendous impact on their numbers. Thanks to a few breeders that were diligent in keeping the breed going, the number of Suffolk horses in North America continues to climb, McKee stated. We are proud to be part of the resurgence of the Suffolk horse and are working hard to raise good quality foals. McKee is currently planning to go to the North Carolina gathering in 2023 and will have heavy involvement in the organization of the Moose Jaw event in 2024. I plan to be in North Carolina for the 2023 gathering, and then, of course, will be highly involved in organizing the event that we are planning to host in Moose Jaw in 2024. Although McKee enjoys all aspects of the gathering and seeing the horses in action, she noted in her final comments that it's predominantly the individuals who attend that draws her to the event. I've made friends through my contacts with the horses, and sometimes the most exciting part about being at the gathering is that I get to meet some of them in person, said McKee. I have Suffolk friends all over North America that I keep in contact with almost on a daily basis. And here is Krista McKee pictured, who was recently elected NASHA Vice President, and she stands with 4 of the young homebred Clearview mares her family has produced. There's her picture. Now turning to Gladstone's glory years, the Methodist Church Senior Sunday School class. Pictured here is the senior Sunday School class of the Methodist Church in Gladstone. This photograph appeared in a supplement to the Gladstone's Glory Years booklet series, in which the year the photograph was taken was presumed to be either 1912 or 1913. The individuals shown starting in the back row are William Vince, Joss Gross, Jack Robson. Third row, Margaret Hammer, Corrine Singleton, Fern Grove, Dora Gilman, Darlene Butler, and Tace Butler. Second row, we have Lena Williams, Mrs. Hamill, Margaret Williams, Lottie Watson, Ida Anderson, Maggie Kerr, May Doughton, Jean Hindman, Roy Farney, he's a teacher, Annie Bowles, Clarice Bozer, Bill Hall, Mr. Hamill in front, Morris Clayton, and rounding out the picture is Ray Lowes. Now we are going to go to the section by Casper Wareham called Looking Back. 110 years ago. This is December 20th, 1912. One of the earliest and most successful pioneers of Oberon settlement passed away last Friday, December 13th, in the person of John White, who was well and favorably known in Neepawa and Carberry. 100 years ago, on December 22nd, 1922, with the town team at his disposal yesterday, Councillor Brooker brought Christmas cheer to 31 homes in Neepawa. The different hampers were well filled with substantial delicacies and toys. The earlier than planned delivery was due to the mild weather and a desire to satisfy expectations or allay any apprehensions that might exist. Thus ends a campaign that speaks volumes for the generosity and goodwill of the promoter, contributors, and distributors, and which must have been an appreciated help to all recipients. 19 years ago today, on December 20th, 1932, birthday congratulations to Mr. J.K. Lyons of Neepawa, who today attains the age of 80 years. 80 years ago, December 24th, 1942, ACI Frank Earl Barton, 19-year-old son of Mr. and Mrs. Jazz Burton of Eden, lost his life when the Knights of Columbus hostel at St. John's, Newfoundland was destroyed by fire. 70 years ago, December 24th, 1952, in Arden. After the new year, E.J. Budvarsawa is leaving the teaching staff, and his position will be taken by Wilfred Butler. Mr. and Mrs. Alexander Moffat of Arden celebrated their golden wedding on Friday, December 19th, 1952. 60 years ago, December 21st, 1962. Today's Christmas carol is a domesticated descent of a lively folk dance. The carol started out in the Middle Ages as a circular country dance called a carol in France, according to World Book Encyclopedia. Some of the early Christians looked in askance at dancing, however, and the carol soon lost its steps. The lyrics of the songs that had accompanied the dance began to change too, and eventually the macaronic style appeared. 50 years ago, December 21st, 1972, Neepawa lawyer Sid Lachter played a major role in the recovery of a stolen car and the apprehension of 2 juveniles early Wednesday evening of last week near Portage la Prairie. Mr. Lachter was traveling on the South Bypass en route to Winnipeg when the car overtook him and then hit the ditch after passing in front of him. He offered to drive the 2 juveniles into Portage, telling them he would take them to a tow truck, but when he pulled up in front of the police station instead, one of the pair fled. He held on to the other while he contacted the RCMP by telephone from a downtown restaurant. Mr. Lachter said the driver of the car was only 12 years old and his companion was 13 years old. 40 years ago, on December 23, 1982, he's never missed a day of work in his life, and this will be his first Christmas not spent behind a bakery oven. Radley Bates retired this fall after 54 years in the business and looks back on a long, devoted career. Born in England, Radley and his family came to Canada in 1921. At the tender age of 14, he latched onto a job at the bakery at the north end of Neepawa. He spent a year there, and the balance of his career at what is now Clark's Bakery. Radley was married in 1938 and shortly after transferred to Goose Bay Laboratory, where he baked bread for the Canadian Army and Air Force. Following the war, he returned to the bakery, then was known as Seaborn's. Radley feels Clark's is one of the better rural bakeries. The Neepawa Bakery has changed 3 times, and Radley enjoyed working for every one of them. December 22nd, 1992, 30 years ago. Old and deteriorated electrical wiring likely ignited the fire that destroyed Neepawa's airport hangar, a Winnipeg fire investigator says. Because of the damage, it's rather hard to say exactly what the cause was, said Greg Kurditic of the Winnipeg Fire Commissioner's office. But quite probably the cause was the wiring, which had become quite deteriorated over time. Public reaction to the Neepawa Gladstone Co-op's posture-opposing Sunday shopping has been positive in nearly all instances, General Manager Elvin Toews said last week. 2 weeks ago, the Neepawa Gladstone Co-op purchased a full-page advertisement in the press, stating its reluctance to open for business on Sundays. And 20 years ago, December 23rd, 2002, the Legion Auxiliary Entertainment Committee reported on the 70th anniversary party. Approximately 150 people attended and enjoyed a lovely buffet, after which presentation of service pins was made. And from 1972, we have an advertisement here from Shell Canada Limited, Harry and Hazel Watson, Neepawa. You're on our greetings list. Happy holidays and sincere thank you. And this appeared in the Neepawa Press on December 21st, 1972 edition of the paper. Now we'll turn to Perspectives. Right in the Center by Ken Waddell. Oh, come, let us adore him. The familiar strains of the song, Oh, Come, Let Us Adore Him, is well known around the world. The words and music have implored millions of listeners to come and adore the baby Jesus and to follow him. The name Jesus means Savior or Rescuer. The birth of Jesus was predicted for centuries in the Jewish faith. It also marked the end of the Old Testament or Old Covenant, and the beginning of the New Testament, or New Covenant. Traditionally, the New Testament implores people to accept Jesus as Savior from their sin. A person who accepts Jesus as Savior is known as a Christian. So countries that have a lot of Christians living in them became known as Christian countries. Actually, a country can't be a Christian. Only individuals can become Christians. one at a time, by way of a personal faith in and commitment to Christ. That said, it is indeed sad that countries that are homes to millions who profess Christ don't govern according to Christian teaching. What a fantastic statement it would be if Canada, the United States, and Great Britain practiced what their citizens preached. Let me explain. Christ's teachings say that accepting Him as Savior is to be followed by a policy of loving your neighbor as yourself. If countries truly lived a Christian lifestyle, they might well have as strong a military as is affordable, but actions would, as much as possible, be limited to defending their country from attack. I will not pass judgment on any previous wars or leaders of the day, but how much better would it be if we resolved to avoid attacking another nation? On the home front, as tough as it might be to stomach, should a Christian country have the death penalty? Should we not put offenders in jail for as long as they live if they commit horrible, violent crimes? It's pretty hard to say, love thy neighbor, and then kill them to penalize a crime. Let's move down the scale a bit. Shouldn't a Christian country avoid torturing war prisoners? Aren't some of our police interrogation tactics of people under arrest a bit suspect? Would it not be the Christian thing to do to clamp down on crime so we can save more people from the effects of crime, but do we have to abuse them as we enforce our laws? Isn't it time that we quit apologizing to our First Nations people and actually spent our time and money on helping communities get ahead? How long will it be before we follow Jesus' teaching that said we should offer a cup of water? In Canada, we can't even get clean water to all our communities. Is there any room for racism or discrimination in a Christian country? I think not. There is another side to the coin as well. It is also a Christian teaching that people need to do as much as they can to help themselves, so they can provide for themselves and their families. We are all supposed to help ourselves so that out of the abundance of God's blessings, we are enabled to help others. Christmas reminds us of our need for Christ and how blessed we can be. If Christ's teachings show up clearly in our lives, hopefully they will translate into better conduct as a nation. May everyone in every country ponder what would happen when we come and adore Him. And moving on, by Rita Friesen, we have Homebodies. Silent Night, Holy Night. With every breath I take, I give thanks for the warmth and comfort of my love-filled home. I am thankful that my world is not rocked by wars, famines, floods, riots, disasters man-made, and acts of God. We now know many of the disasters wrought by nature are the results of man's pillage and plunder of the earth and her resources. Being thankful for the peace with which I live, I ask, why me, Lord? What have I done to deserve even one of the pleasures I've known? I acknowledge that I am not entitled or deserving of the many blessings I appreciate, just as those fleeing from terrors within and without subsisting in refugee camps or ghettos are not deserving of their life's conditions. It simply is. I am me, and they are they. It is our life. This doesn't sound like a feel-good Christmas week story. For me, it is. I have been in tough spots in my life. I deal with sadness and dissonance daily. I am at peace. I am content. I relish walks in the fresh air, the hugs of wee children and friends, the handshake of an acquaintance, the ability to think and move and simply be. I am alive, fully alive. My attitude and faith all centers on that night the song celebrates, that silent night, holy night, when Jesus was born. For the realist, we know that unless it was directly after feeding time, that stable was not a quiet place. For me, the acceptance of a higher power enables me to walk through all of life's turmoils and tempests. I have learned to be calm in the midst of a storm. When there is truly nothing I can do, I do nothing, and rest knowing that is what I am to do. There are times when I stop, throw my apron over my head, as it were, and simply sit quiet long enough to get past my thoughts, open my head and heart to the quiet voice of my higher power. Sometimes I wish that the voice was louder, but are not the whispered words of love more treasured than the shouted ones? That quiet usually comes to be when I'm walking. Hence, I do a lot of walking. This holiday season, some of us will be inundated with things to do, places to go. Some of us will have no one and nowhere, and some of us will be reluctant to step out of the house, wanting to turtle forever. And just as there is no reasoning of justice behind my safety and peace, there is no reasoning of justice to those alone and lonely. It simply is. My Christmas prayer is all may have enough, whatever it is that we need. May there be enough. May we have the courage to see the good in God, despite the situations with which we are faced. May we see the needs of others and respond with heart and hands. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. All because of a silent night, a holy night. And continuing with Perspectives, Faithfully Yours by Neil Strojein. This year I'm adding something to my Christmas schedule that hasn't been there for a while. I am calling it my holiday think time. I plan to take a few minutes each day to sit quietly and reflect on the story of Christ's birth and why we celebrate it as we do. When I was a kid, much of our family's Christmas celebration centered on the activities in my home church. We had a Christmas Eve service, which usually doubled as the Sunday school Christmas program. We also had a Christmas Day service and a full day of chores and farm work. Farmers don't get Christmas off. Cows still have to be milked. Pigs and beef cattle still have to be fed. On the farm, Christmas is just like any other day. No one gets time off, especially not the kids who have time off from school. Farmers weren't the only ones working on Christmas Day. Our hospital staff had to work their shifts. Our volunteer fire department was ready if needed. So were those who operated the local ambulance service. The RCMP were also ready to respond if their services were required. So were those who looked after the roads, fixed broken water or sewer mains in town, and provided emergency care for our animals. As I reflected on my childhood Christmases, I was amazed to see how similar they were to the night when Jesus was born. Christmas, as we know it, did not exist in those days. There was no magic in the air. No hoarfrost on the trees, no radiant beams from stars that shone down from heaven and touched the earth, and definitely no decorated streets, Christmas lights, or other things that we take for granted. People weren't looking for a savior on the night Jesus was born. Welcoming a newborn to earth wasn't on anyone's agenda. The Roman emperor had ordered a census, and in Bethlehem, where Christ was born, people were doing their best to cope with the influx of Roman officials who had come to conduct the census and the descendants of King David who had come to be registered. Songs of praise to God were the last things on their minds. If you listened closely, you'd probably have heard angry words laced with profanity, all directed at the Romans, not words of faith, hope, and love. So on the night Jesus was born, God's messengers announcing his birth were sent to the only people who had the time to listen to the shepherds on the hills outside of town, who were doing what they always did, keeping watch over their flocks and protecting them from thieves and predators. God's message to them is the same message he sends to you and me. A Savior has been born for you. Believe the news. Go and see him for yourselves and put your faith in him. We are glad that they heard and obeyed that message. Without them, we would not have the detailed gospel record of what happened on the night Jesus was born. Will you hear that message this year? Will you take time to reflect on how different your life might be had Jesus never been born? Will you welcome him as your Savior and King? Receive the forgiveness he offers you and welcome his Spirit to be in you and change your life forever? Jesus is God's gift to you, to me, and to all people everywhere on this earth. May we receive this gift with great joy. And observation by Addie Oberlin. It is so good to be back on my computer. I found a way to work on it when I typed up the yearly newsletter for my family. I hope to be able to continue from now on. I have a swelling in the back of my eyes, which is treatable. No Christmas cards this year. No Christmas tree either, because I cannot reach the top. Are you ready for Christmas? I do not mean all the baking and cooking and decorating. Are you ready and waiting to celebrate the birth of Christ, our Savior and Redeemer? A Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. He is the one who brought us into the world and will sustain us for as long as we live, if we let him, and God will take us home to heaven when the time has come to leave this earth. Such a glorious thought. May your Christmas be a blessed time with family and friends, and may the coming year bring health and happiness. Thumbs up to the Elks Lodge ladies for preparing and hosting a scrumptious turkey dinner on December 1st, kickoff to the festive season. The various choirs who have given time and talent to entertain us. The Connect Club for their generosity, re-gifts, goodies, caroling, and Santa. Still more to come from HMK class. Many thanks to all. From the Elks Manor tenants, submitted by D. Harris, Neepawa, Manitoba. And we're going to turn to Gladstone's glory years, the Gladstone School. And here's a picture of the Gladstone School. This photo appeared in Chapter 10 of the Gladstone's Glory Years booklet series. The picture depicts the Gladstone School. However, further details, such as the date the photo was taken and the 4 youngsters' names, were not printed with the photo. So we don't know who they are. Pazwisti wins third prize in Shop Hometown Draw. Shelley Pazwisti, pictured here, was the lucky third place winner in the Neepawa Banner and Press Shop Hometown Draw last week. Her prize was $500 in Shop Hometown bucks. Thank you to all the individuals and businesses that participated. Congratulations, Shelley. Well done. And that's a wrap on Christmas. Here's a picture of a group of volunteers from Neepawa's Calvary Chapel recently pitched in at the Neepawa Salvation Army to help wrap Christmas presents for the area children. And submitted by Spruce Plains RCMP. On December 12th, the Spruce Plains RCMP executed a controlled drugs and substances search warrant on a resident in the RM of Oakview. Police seized approximately 46 grams of methamphetamine, stolen property, $900 cash, and 6 firearms. Terrence Thurston, age 45, was charged with possession for the purpose of trafficking a Scheduled I substance, possession of property obtained by crime, and possession of the proceeds of crime. The Spruce Plains RCMP would like everyone to be careful and to be aware of fraudulent scams. These are some of the most recent or common fraudulent reports. Sphere phishing. Targets are businesses and organizations. Scammers take their time to collect information on the intended targets, study the sender's use of language, and look for patterns linked to important contacts, payments, and dates. They do this so they can send convincing emails seemingly from a trusted source in order to trick you into revealing sensitive information to the scammer or to deploy malicious software. You can do several things to protect yourself. Put in place detailed payment procedures, encouraging a verification step for unusual requests. Avoid opening unsolicited emails or clicking on suspicious links or attachments. Take a few seconds to hover over an email address or link and confirm that they are correct. Do not open it if it looks suspicious. Second one, mystery shopper. You receive a notice or an email that you've been selected to be a mystery shopper. You qualify control officer or a personal assistant. You will be mailed certified check and instructed to deposit it into your account and use the money to make assigned purchases. The amount will be for more than the amount required to spend. You will then be told to keep a certain amount and wire back the remaining funds. Sometime after you cash the check, your bank will inform you that the check was counterfeit and is bounced. The reason why this scam works so well is that there are real mystery shopper jobs. There are many people interested in this work, so there's no need for companies to advertise this kind of work. Taxpayer or Canada Revenue Agency. A scammer claims to be an employee of the Canada Revenue Agency. They will state that you owe back taxes, have an outstanding case against you, have a compromised SIN number, social insurance number, have unpaid balances, or committed a financial crime. They threaten that if you don't speak to them, you will be arrested or they will get a warrant for your arrest. These are scammers, and they may request payment via money service businesses, prepaid Visa or MasterCards, or prepaid gift cards or Bitcoin. And there's also the telephone calls targeting the Asian community. The Asian community in Canada is being targeted with automated calls claiming to have an urgent message from sources such as Interpol, the Chinese consulate, or a delivery agency. These phone calls can be very threatening. The scam calls vary, but generally they claim customs intercepted a letter or a package in your name and implicate you in a fraud. For example, the message may state that customs stopped a suspicious package containing many bank cards and you are the subject of an investigation. They may direct you to a fake police website to verify your identity and provide a copy of your passport. They will inform you that there are fraudulent funds in your account and ask for your banking information to verify. A police will never ask you for your banking information. If you are a victim of any of these scams, please report them. When you are a victim of these scams, please report them to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. For more information and ways on how to protect yourself, we encourage you to go to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre website. The Spruce Plains RCMP would like to wish everyone a happy holiday. We encourage everyone to drink responsibly and to plan ahead to have a sober driver. And submitted by Casper Wareham, Westlake Employment to review the 2022 at their upcoming AGM. And pictured here are Westlake Skill and Service Center employees, Florida Lee's Boking Kitu, Employment Service Manager, and Martha Credo, Client Services Representative. There's these two ladies in the photo. The Westlake Employment Skills and Services Center, known as WESCO, is preparing to review the 2022 year at its upcoming annual general meeting. The AGM will be held on January 18th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. in the upstairs boardroom at 342 Mountain Avenue, formerly occupied by the Neepawa Gladstone Co-op Administration offices. Although the AGM isn't until next month, WESCO manager Floralise Bokinkitu, sorry, I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong, provided some early reflection regarding their relocation to that space, which took place in October of 2021. This location provides more room and brings many programs into one location for community convenience. Having the Salvation Army, Neepawa Settlement Services, and Westlake Employment Services under one roof is beneficial, said Boking Kido. It's the goal of these organizations to provide their respective services, but also be aware of what all three organizations can offer so that clients can be referred and helped effectively. Boking Kido added, the large space provides enhanced privacy and rooms for clients to come and use our community computers for job services, online applications, and completion of other forms. Of course, staff will help if there are any questions. The new location has also allowed WESCO to upgrade its computer lab to have 8 workstations with plenty of room for employers to offer information sessions to prospective employees. Service Canada is also coming once a month to our location and has a dedicated space now for improved privacy. WESCO is currently lobbying for more visits from Service Canada in the future. But this isn't the only plan for the future underway. An additional effort that Bok-and-Keto shared is their work towards supporting the new hospital coming to Neepawa. Westlake is working closely with partners in the community to bring additional training to potential healthcare workers in support of the new hospital. We have plans to work closely with other employers to promote their needs to prospective employees. For those who may be unaware, Bok-and-Keto explained that the Wesco provides a variety of services such as employment counseling, employment needs assessment, resume and cover letter development, one-on-one consultations, job search assistance, job advertising, a local job board, information on possible wage subsidies, employee referrals, and more. Our staff is also willing to help, Bok-and-Keto emphasized. Board Chair Gord Olmsted was also available for comment, first commending both Bok-and-Keto and Client Services Representative Martha Credo. Operations are in good hands, Olmsted enthused. Both are experienced workers and fully versed in employment services for clients. Need more people. Speaking directly regarding the voluntary board of directors for Wesco, which oversees the operation and direction of the organization, Olmsted told the Banner and Press that they are looking for new members. Board recruitment and training of new board members are vital to an effective organization, said Olmsted. We need some more people on the board. There's some who have been on the board for a few years, and it's always good to get new members and new ideas. Olmsted added, the board consists of and is seeking community-minded individuals from the town of Neepawa, the municipalities of North Cypress Langford, Rosedale, Glenella Langsdowne, and Westlake Gladstone. We provide employment services for residents from all these areas. If anyone is interested in becoming a board member, they are asked to stop by the Westlake Employment Skills and Services Center or to call 204-476-7698. An existing board member will then be in contact with you. The Westlake Employment Skills and Services Center is looking forward to seeing residents of the area at their AGM. So please come out on January 18th at 5:30 p.m. for the AGM meeting. And turning to the sports page, NACI Tigers fall to the Glenboro Carberry Boulder Wildcats in a shootout by Owen Devereaux. The Glenboro Carberry Boulder Wildcats staged a late game comeback in Neepawa on Sunday, December 18th, defeating the NACI Tigers 6-5 in a shootout. With just 2:18 left in the third period and trailing by 2 goals, the Glenboro Carberry Boulder pulled their goaltender to get the extra player advantage. That decision paid off as the Wildcats scored twice to send the game into overtime. After a 5-minute OT session, it went to a shootout where Carson Neepawa scored the winner. Neepawa was also credited with the game-tying goal with just 37 seconds left in regulation. Jaron Waldner and Landon Gudnason scored in the first period for the Wildcats, while Landon Bowman scored in the second and Dylan Hood tallied the other one late in the third period. As for Neepawa, Jory Kobaki scored 2 goals and added an assist in regulation. Other notable Tigers in the game were Brody Pollock, 1 goal, 3 assists, Tarek Lapointe, 1 goal, 1 assist, and Lance Murray, 1 goal. Before the Christmas break, the Glenboro Carberry Boulder Wildcats will play one more game on December 21st as they will take on Killarney. Neepawa's next scheduled game, meanwhile, is listed for December 22nd in Dauphin. So good luck to them. And Minnedosa and Elkhorn dominate in Neepawa by Owen Devereaux. For several years, the Minnedosa Elkhorn Seahawks were far and away the best team in the North Central Hockey League. Now, in their first year in the Tiger Hills Hockey League, they appear to be setting themselves up as that type of dominant franchise once again. The Neepawa Farmers put in a solid effort, but were simply outgunned by the Seahawks on Saturday, December 17th, losing 10-1. Brad Marshall scored the lone goal for Neepawa midway through the third period. Brad and Sean Bowles, meanwhile, led the way for the Minnedosa Elkhorn with 6 points. 4 goals, 2 assists from Sean, and 5 from Brad, 1 goal and 4 assists. The Seahawks are now 9-0-0 on the season, tied for first in the West Division with the Killarney Shamrocks, who are 9-1-0 for 18 points. Neepawa, meanwhile, are in the fourth in the East Division with a 4-8-0 record. And there's a little picture here of Neepawa Farmers goaltender Reese Jones, who found himself bombarded by well over 50 shots over the course of the game against the Minnedosa Elkhorn Seahawks on Saturday, December 17th. Now I'd like you to turn to this advertisement here. Viterra Men's Provincial Curling Championship is being held in Neepawa, the Yellowhead Center, and tickets are now on sale. Get your early bird week pass for $125 if you purchase it between December 1st and December 31st. This Viterra Men's Provincial Curling Championship is being held February 8th to the 12th at the Yellowhead Center on 2023. There'll be draw times Wednesday, February 8th, 8:30, 12:15, 4 o'clock at 8:15. Thursday, February 9th, 8:30, 12:15, 4 o'clock, and 7:45. Friday, February 10th, 8:30, 12:15, 4 p.m., 7:45. And Saturday, February 11th, 9 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. And closing up on Sunday, February the 12th, 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Check us out on Facebook for up-to-date information. And take in some good curling, folks. And it'll happen right here at the Yellowhead Center, February 8th to the 12th. Okay, and one last Gladstone Glory Years, the Methodist Church Senior Sunday School class. And here's a picture of the Senior Sunday School class of the Methodist Church in Gladstone. This photograph appeared in a supplement to the Gladstone Glory Years booklet series, in which the year the photograph was taken was presumed to be 1912 or 1913, which that might be a repeat. And lastly, on the back page, High Life Christmas gift comes early. $50,000 and thousands of items donated to 15 local food banks. High Life brought in food, we took some pictures, and then they said they had one more thing. It was a can with $6,000 donation inside. This will make a huge difference. The need is here, and we don't see it going away anytime soon. And in the center, we have Amanda Nottingale, the Community Ministries Director of Neepawa Salvation Army. And employees from High Life. High Life's second annual Holiday Helpers Food Drive has helped make a huge impact and boost several community food banks this Christmas season. Across operations, our employees came together to collect more than 2,400 non-perishable items for food banks in our communities. In a true holiday spirit, these donations came with a generous twist. High Life donating $50,000 to food banks and one breakfast program, all thanks to additional funds from High Life Fund Days this past year. A huge thank you to our employees and the nonprofit organizations for working tirelessly to make the holidays a little brighter for their neighbors struggling with food insecurity. Between the food drive and the High Life Fund Days donations, High Life will have reached charities across communities in the province of Manitoba and Saskatchewan and Windham, Minnesota. Well done, High Life. And that is it for the Banner and Press of Friday, December 23rd. And I would like to wish all our viewers a very Merry Christmas and health and happiness in 2023. Bye for now.